The Air Force says the base used to test military aircraft and personnel, but conspiracy theorists have other ideas. Janelle Bludau explains.
Is there alien life on Earth? Well, it depends on who you ask. The alien obsession has been around for decades, and aliens really have inspired, well, everything. Movies and museums, fashion and flags, costumes, and even Christmas. One of the most notable so-called alien encounters happened in Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947. What the National Security Agency calls the Roswell incident. Sounds serious. The NSA says it's when Army Air Forces recovered the alleged crash remains of a, quote, flying disc. Hello, alien spacecraft. But the government then said what actually crashed was a weather balloon from the top secret Project Mogul, which was designed to monitor for Soviet nuclear tests, but not everyone was convinced, especially because not long after, people in Nevada started to see some very strange things in the sky flying over the place the CIA called Area 51. Maybe you've heard of it. People thinking they were testing out that crashed alien spacecraft, those flying objects were actual UFOs, unidentified to everyone but the Air Force. Until just a few years ago, when the CIA released top secret documents, not only confirming the existence of Area 51, but also telling us what they say has been happening there, which is the top secret testing of top secret aircrafts, the 1950s U-2 and the B-2 stealth bomber. I mean, that looks pretty alien to me. But because of all this secrecy, many made up their own minds a long time ago about Area 51, and that's why it may never lose its extraterrestrial excitement.